All right, good morning, good weekend. Welcome to your weekend. And myself. We're going to give this a minute to load some people up, including Brian, who's just outside the door. Brian said I don't wait long enough. Brian said sometimes by the time he gets on, it's already over. So we're going to wait. All right. Good to see you. Glad you're here. Thanks for coming. There's Brian. He's here. He's helping out. Well, Friday, this is the 16th of April, which means it is DC Emancipation Day. And maybe you've never heard of that, especially if you're not in DC or close by, but DC Emancipation Day celebrates when slavery actually ended in DC, and it was 8 months ahead of the Emancipation Proclamation for other areas. So kind of overnight, roughly 3,000 enslaved people were freed in D.C. This was in April 16th, 1862. And like I said, 8 months ahead of the rest of the nation. So D.C. has celebrated it as a big parade celebration, not this year, but Brian's got the link for some of what's happening this year. If you wanted to participate virtually, maybe you've never been able to participate before, but with things virtual, you can do it from wherever you are. So if you wanted to check that out, that's great. When this happened in 1862, let's not pretend that it was all wonderful and great. And this is all according to the book Chocolate City, The History of DC, if you want to read it. Strongly encourage it. But when it happened, there were provisions in this act that actually compensated slave owners, and so to the tune of just shy of $1 million, I think, were passed out to who were then former slave owners in the district. And they were compensated for that. There were no reparations paid for enslaved people and the labor that they provided, but slave owners were compensated when the slaves were freed. There were also instances, and I think the gentleman's name was McCormick, and he lived on the D.C. line, kind of Maryland, D.C. and Northeast, I think. And McCormick had land on both sides, so Maryland and D.C. He actually rebuilt a new slave pen on the Maryland side of his property, and then just didn't free his slaves. And so there were definitely those types of shenanigans getting around the new law, and it wouldn't be until later that those slaves would be free. There were some instances where slaves could actually sue for their freedom after the act was passed. And so a few people were able to win their own freedom in that way with the help of some lawyers. And there were also some instances where free black individuals had purchased their family members, but they couldn't file all of the legal paperwork to emancipate their own family members, so like spouse, children. And they actually, once this act had passed, they were actually able to receive compensation for their freed family members, because technically their family members belonged to them as slaves. And so there were a few instances of that as well. It's a lot of little interesting nuggets if you go, but read Chocolate City about it. There's also just on the DC government website, there's good explainers about what Emancipation Day is and what the celebrations have been about over the years. In 1863 was the first kind of public celebration, and it was a massive march all around downtown, from over to Georgetown, back into downtown, past the Executive Mansion. The group actually, thousands of people, they actually went to the White House and asked the president to come out and see him. And he walked out to see him. The massive march ended over at Franklin Square, where kind of the speeches and the celebration would happen. That went on for decades. Eventually, there was some disagreement about like what should Emancipation Day be? Should it be like more of a religious service of thankfulness and gratefulness? Go to the church and kind of do it as a worshipful thing, or should it be the parade? Should it be bands and speeches and rallies and things like that? And so it did fall off for a bit. And there were actually like things happening in tandem. The really official celebrations for DC didn't come back until more recently, and it really took on a new, depending on how the federal government was treating DC at the time, whether it was during permanent disenfranchisement that was passed in I think 1878, versus after home rule was repassed for the district to have more say over our own laws and what happens in our city. The day took on different meanings. Today is still a parade. It's still a celebration. It's virtual this year, like I said, but you can check all of that out. And like I said, either read a book, read what's on the DC website, read Chocolate City, which is especially helpful and important now because next week the act goes before the House about DC statehood. So if you want information about the fight for DC statehood, then Chocolate City is a really, really good place to start reading. So anyway, I wanted to at least say that about today. We know that this week has been incredibly painful and traumatic for a lot of folks. Revisited more revelations about police violence, folks dying, and it just feels, and it almost is every single day, that there's a news story. Of course, we know that these interactions are happening every single day. So please pay attention. Please talk to your city leaders. Please talk to your police departments. Please talk to your children. Please talk to each other. It's not right. It's not just. So let's do better. Let's do better. Must do better. People's lives are on the line. And after that, and during that, and all of that, also a great day of service this Sunday. And there's some spots left, especially around 3 p.m. and 4 p.m. We could really use a few more hands out there with us. I hope you will register. We hope to see you in person. Bring your mask. We will have the tent up to protect the food, but we will be outdoors. Plenty of circulation. Get your mask on. Get registered. We need you. 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock. We need you, or we will not hit our goal. 15,000 meals with Rise Against Hunger. You can also participate virtually by making a donation for us. That helps just as much. $29 get you 100 meals. Really appreciate it. Help us do this thing. All right, friends. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your Friday afternoon. Get out there virtually. Get out there outside. But get out there, see each other, get your shots, get registered, get in line, get your shots. It's a matter of protecting each other, not just yourself. Please do it. It is a moral responsibility you have as a Christian. It's not just something we do for fun. All right? Get your shots. Let's do it. Protect each other. Bye-bye.